This is the sacred psoas. Sacred psoas is simply a name that I learned from Richard Freeman, who is an Ashtanga guru, and he was talking about the sacrum, not the psoas. He calls it the sacred bone, that you can transport somebody if you were able to hold them by their sacrum. And the psoas is very close with the sacrum. The sacrum is the bottom of the spine. The spine is roughly, you could call it 4 pieces. The cervical, the neck, the thoracic has ribs attached to it. The lumbar is below the rib cage, above the pelvis. And the sacrum, which is also the coccyx, but they're kind of fused together. So that's the sacrum. The SI joint, sacroiliac joint, is where the sacrum meets the 2 ilium. So you have these 2 iliums, and on either side is the joint called SI, the SI joint. So go ahead and feel your hips. Not your hips, your pelvis. Your hips are down here. So feel the rim of your pelvis, the top border of your pelvis. And walk your thumbs around until you get towards the back. And you'll feel a bump. So there's this rim of the pelvis. And I'm just going to walk my fingers around until I get near the back, and I'll feel kind of a space, a bump, a ridge. Is anybody not feeling it? Basically, when there's a shifting, when one of the iliums moves relative to the sacrum, it can create discomfort there. It's not necessarily dislocated, it's just kind of offset. And there's a lot of nerves that shoot out of there, so that's where you get like sciatica issues, and it radiates to some of the muscles, so you might get some muscle spasms around that area. So a lot of times when there's issues in the musculature around the pelvis, it has to do with the SI joints a little bit offset. And that's causing muscles to kind of fire, and then we think it's a muscular problem, and it's a joint problem. The benefit to doing what we're doing right now over going to, like, let's say a chiropractor that could pop it back into place, and I've definitely needed chiropractors a couple times in my life, is that doesn't change the muscular pattern on top that pulled it out of place in the first place. And so as soon as you get it back into place, you need to go and fix the muscle pattern, or it's going to happen again. And it is possible to pop every joint in your body by just engaging certain muscles and relaxing others and applying a little bit of force. You can do it to yourself. So this is a samyama practice. For example, I have 2 images up here. And this is exemplifying what's called muscle confusion. So they're both hip flexors. There are 4 hip flexors. Flexion is shortening the front of the hip. On the right is the psoas. And on the left is iliacus and quadratus lumborum. They look similar, right? This is where you get muscle confusion, especially for those like me who drive a lot. If you were to set up a camera and look at your legs and you could like speed it up, you ever see like sped up videos? What you would, for the most part, unless you're me because I do weird things, you would see the left leg stationary and the right leg doing this. If you could speed up a 2-hour drive, you would just see this with the right leg and the left leg is stationary. The right hip flexor is being engaged a lot more. But which one? It could be the psoas, or it could be this iliacus QL combination. Where it gets complicated is because on one side of the body you're using psoas, and on the other side of the body you're using the combination. And that will start to create a rotation of the pelvis. And most people have a rotation in their pelvis. So today, the main goal for sacred psoas is to clarify this confusion. That I'm going to have it so that I'm going to induce or help you to find these 3 muscles, to isolate them, to engage them, and to be really familiar with when is it QL, when is it iliacus, when is it psoas. Everything else we do on top of that is kind of icing. Everything is really important, but this is the kind of the root, the core of it. The method is look at the picture, and I'll give you many pictures. You look at the picture, you burn it into your mind. You should be able to close your eyes and see it. You should be able to close your eyes, and even if you don't know the jargon, the anatomy jargon, you should be able to see on your own skeleton, where does it attach? Okay, what direction did the fibers go in? Okay, it's underneath these organs, or it's over top of this bone. Like, you should be able to close your eyes and see it very vividly. At that point, you are practicing dharana, concentration. Then you do the actions of engaging it, asana. In that, you will begin to develop a relationship with the muscle itself. That you have a consciousness and awareness, and then you have this muscle that you're telling what to do. So there's two. There's two entities. There's the you telling it to do something, and it's clearly going to be that, because for most of you in the beginning, it's going to be like, I'm telling it to do something. It's not doing what I'm telling it to do. And so you're developing a relationship with this part of this object in your body. That's meditation, holding a single object in your mind while you communicate with it. And then in the process of that, eventually you'll kind of slip into a trance. If you do it long enough, deep enough, you quiet your mind, let go of your tongue. And this is samadhi, the 8th limb of yoga. So the final 3 limbs, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi, concentrate, meditate, and become absorbed, is what Patanjali calls samyama. And this is a kind of samyama practice.